Halloween Frederika is hitting more of the visions, and first of all, I've seen some criticism about her looks, the fact that she's not in a full costume, but in my opinion, her looks is really nice, it's a super cool seasonal outfit, I love her limit break, and I love her quotes, so on that note, I would definitely want her. But in terms of her place in the meta, I think she is an easy skip for just about anybody. We already have two super strong Earth Evasion units, so Yuarzazan and Ketone, and she is, in my opinion, weaker than these two, so if you're going for guild battles or arena, perhaps you could run her, and that would work well. But if you're thinking about content like class matches or cost-limited content, the other two you will fit in a team before her, and then you won't have enough to fit another cost 90 in your Earth team. So I don't think she is a good pick for anybody, really. You should go for her if you really like her design or if you want her, but not necessarily because you feel like you need her. So today we'll take a look in more details at her kit, her stats, where she will potentially shine, and just other recommendations regarding her. Fred is a short-range attacker. She has high evasion. I looked at her luck and evasion rates, and she is roughly the 14 top evasion unit. She is in a similar ballpark to Tifa, which means she will dodge a little bit, but she's not extremely evady. She is 5 evasion or so below Starlet Elena, to give you an example. She has super high mobility. She can have a base movement of 4, increase that to 5 in-game with really good jump, so she's able to cross the map however she wants. She has a ton of defense penetration, and a buff that gives her some AP restore, just like Cloud when she crits, so she can be AP sufficient without bells. But her damage is rather low. She doesn't have anything above a 175 mod except for her limit break or dragoon abilities, which likely will not land depending on the enemy's CT. So she is really hard to play in terms of damage carry. She is very slash focused, and she is fragile. If she gets hit, she goes down, except if it's a piercing attack or magic attack. We'll talk about that soon. But she is not a unit that can take a couple hits, contrary to the other Earth Evasion units, like Ketone can drain back, Yuarzazan can die 17 times, so she doesn't really compare to those a lot. So yeah, I think she's a low tier unit. She can be an extremely good pierce counter if you want to go that route, and is an evasion support because she can decrease people's accuracy and blind them. So in that regard, she's really good if you pair her with other evasion units. She wears cloth, hat, and accessory with her new job, so no heavy armor, no keen blade, no cane TMR, but she could use a couple of other things that are still very good in manual play. Now, if we look at her stats, the first thing I want to point out is that she has less HP, attack, agility, and luck than Yuarzazan, and less movement. So she is really in a bind compared to this cost 100 unit that we got, and that is just very, very strong. Compared to Ketone, she has a little bit more HP and attack, but overall, not crazy stats either. At 262, she has the exact same luck as what Tifa has, so that gives you a good idea of how evady or accurate she can be. She has some really good points going for her. She has charm immunity, which is really good, or at least 50% resistance is near immune in my opinion. Then she's got some good pierce resist and magic resist, and she can bank on them by increasing those with some other abilities. So she could be a really good counter for those, but yeah, that's the thing. And then her attack is high, but her mods are low, so she is unable to hit like a truck. She's not a cloud type damage dealer. She will not hit as hard as Yuarzazan can with his Kingpin Smash, for example, so don't expect her to one-shot people. She's more of a unit that'll stay in the fight for a long time and then slowly whittle them down if she keeps dodging. Otherwise, she goes down in a hit. Now, if we look at her support abilities, I would say you want the first one on top all the time. It increases attack, defense penetration, and evasion. She wants all of those, just keep it on at all times. And then it's a good question. If you're playing on auto and you want her to evade as much as you can, I would give her the extra agility and luck, because that is directly translated into evade. Otherwise, for manual gameplay, which is usually what I care about the most, Shikuchi, extra move, extra jump. With this, she can dash around the map without a care in the world, which is really good, and it is important in many, many matchups. So I would always have Shikuchi and the top one for manual play. In terms of counter abilities, to be honest, reducing accuracy by 25 is not a lot. It's usually not going to be enough. So I would have that on probably for auto, again, if you're going all in on evade and the enemy doesn't really care about managing that range and proccing your counter. Otherwise, probably just Dragon's Blade, because it's such a good ability. If she happens to survive the hit, she could potentially drain it all back by poking the other guy. So when it procs, it's very impactful. So it's definitely between these two in my opinion. Now let's look at the Fencer main job, and I discovered Final Fantasy by FFTA, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, where they were fencers, and they were my favorite job, so I'm really biased in favor of this one. But it's not an incredibly good job, unfortunately. It's another slash-oriented job, we have a lot of those in the game right now, and it seems to revolve around crit, which is not something I like that much in War of the Visions. But there we go. First ability, extra crit chance. Sure, cute. Then she has an increased evasion and single target resistance buff. The evasion part, really good. Single target resistance is also not bad, but here's the thing, this will not give her the ability to tank 3 hits. She will still die within 2 attacks from the enemy teams, so it's not a really massive change for her. And then she has an ability that increases AoE resistance by 15 in an AoE, which I really like. I think the combination of both is really good. It also gives her some AP restore on crit, and she will crit basically all the time, so that part I like because it makes her not rely on bells, and you could give bells to somebody else. Then her next ability is an AoE attack around her that has increased crit chance and decreases the enemy's crits. Again, I don't think crits matter that much in War of the Visions, and so because of that, decreasing the enemy crit chance is not such a big deal in my opinion. It's a nice little bonus, but really, use that for the AoE, not for the crit reduction in my opinion. Then her next ability, I think, is the one that's the most important in her kit. It's a 2-hit attack that decreases defense by 30, then deals a 165 damage, and then heals you back. So you've got a lot of stuff in there. It's a little bit like Vinera's Vampiric Cleaver, if you've seen that, where she does crazy damage and heals back, except Vampiric Cleaver is a mod 200. This is a mod 165, so it is roughly 20% weaker, which is a little bit of a shame. And then the move that I think might make Frederika a really good pick in some arena or guild battle matchups is the next one, Resistance Step. It increases Pierce and Magic resistance by 30, and with that, she could be set to have 100 Pierce or Magic resistance, or maybe even both, and then you could counter some builds entirely with it. So because of that ability solely, I think she will see some play in competitive scene, but really just as a cherry pick where you specifically target enemies' teams because of that. Her LB is really good for her kit. It's her only ability with slash resistance penetration, so once in a fight, she can deal significant damage to an enemy with some good slash resistance. It has a 200 mod, it's her only 200 mod ability as well, and then 67% chance to blind, which is really good, especially if she's supporting other evasion units, which she should be. I think that's, you don't want to run her as the sole evasion unit on your team, it's too much of an investment for what she can do. But that's the main job. Now, let's look at her sub-jobs, and the Fencer sub-job is interesting. I might equip that once in a while. First of all, you get a movement and crit rate up. She already has jump 2, so you don't need a lot more jump, especially if you have Shikuchi, you're at jump 3. So just increasing movement is enough to put her probably at move 5 and just cross over the map and hit your enemies, so I like that part. And then she gets a line attack that decreases accuracy. I was saying, if you're running her as an evasion support unit where you want her to decrease the enemy's accuracy for all your evadey guys to dodge even better, this is the move you want to use. Fina does it better, she decreases accuracy by 43, but Fina has her own downfalls, so Frederika would be another option for something like that. Otherwise, I would equip the Dragoon sub-job most of the time, mainly because it gives her a second damage type. If your enemies are super resistant to slashing, she will not do much, and so having access to piercing moves is a very important thing in my opinion. She gains access to an attack up buff, which she does not have in her main job, and then jump and horizontal jump, and also Flying Dragon, so you still get extra mobility with that by pushing all the way to move 5. So for manual play, for example, Dragoon all the way, all the time, because of the reasons I mentioned. And her final sub-job is the Ninja, and it's interesting. There are a couple good tools in there, but I would say the main thing is really the Poison Fog technique, Poison Mist, where you can dash across the map and poke somebody from really far, especially, again, manual play with a quicken strategy. It's a staple of manual play. You also gain access to Decider of Fate, which gives you extra accuracy and guaranteed crit. Now, she has a lot of effects that proc on crit, so that's really good, and the extra accuracy could be useful if you're fighting a mirror match of evasion teams where you could not hit them reliably otherwise. So there are a couple good things in there, but I don't think it's worth running this sub-job over Dragoon most of the time, just because Dragoon has higher mud attacks and also the only piercing moves that she would have access to. Now that we've looked at all this, let's jump into a sample build, and here we go. She's got 5,000 HP, which is not a lot. She does have 35 pierce resist, and as I said, we could go a lot higher in there. But unless she's hit by, a pierce attack, she will go down in a single hit. We see Clouds just hit people for 7,000 damage. Her 20% lightning resistance is not going to save her against something like that, and there's just a lot of units with really, really high mods in the game. 5,000 is one-shot range, in my opinion. She does have 1,000 attack. If we were using a attack up card, she could go all the way to 1,300 without too much issue, so that part is good. And then, 92 agility, that's fine. 360 luck, but if she had a luck up card, as I said, she would be able to evade similarly to Tifa, so that's not bad at all. But overall, nothing extremely impressive if we put a build on top. Overall though, the feeling I get when I'm looking at stats like this is that she's a squishier Tifa. She has similar evasion, similar attack, but no courage or barrier, and a bit less HP as well. So that scares me a little bit when I would be running her. Now let's talk about placing her in a team, and good synergies are naturally the other Earth Evasion units. The fact that she can decrease the enemy team's accuracy makes all your teams survive longer and more easily, which is really, really good. You could also pair her with people that have slash resistance down. That could be Gilgamesh, Stern, Cloud, there's a lot of them, because she really relies on her slash moves and doesn't have a lot of slash resistance penetration. So if you have some way to deal with that, otherwise, that will definitely help her out. Also, I did say that she would do well with Earth Evasion, but I think she does well with any kind of evasion. So if you're pairing her with a 2B, for example, really good for you. You're going to have another batch of ways to decrease the enemy's accuracy and make her survive. So it's not about Earth Evasion so much as evasion altogether because of your blind and accuracy down moves. Threats though, don't fight the Tifa. If Tifa hits you, you go down, and Tifas can be built to be very accurate. Actually, don't fight a Corval either. You are not that strong against Missile, and he's just going to snipe you from across the map. So there are a couple really big threats. You could potentially be built to fight a Black Rose Helena if you're going all in on the magic resistance side, but otherwise, with her guaranteed hit moves, she will tear you down pretty quick. And then Halloween Little Leela, just about to be released with her EX job at the same time as Fred. She has accuracy up moves, super high luck, can be built to be very accurate, and she will tear through your Halloween Frederika very easily, so be very wary of her. So I think it's pretty obvious from what I've been telling, but do not pull for her because you want a stronger unit. Pull for her because you want something that's fun and interesting, something new, because you like her design. Don't do it because you expect her to change your account. That is not what she will do. Her TMR is really interesting. It gives you the ability to decrease single target resistance on a crit, and that could be used to enable some builds, but it is not good enough, not meta-changing enough in my opinion, to pull for her. It is not like Halloween Raryu's TMR or Kane's TMR, which are good enough to justify pulling for a unit. For PvP, I would probably never use her unless it's an Earth-only team and I'm building a slash team, but really not necessary at all. For Arena, I'll give her 6 out of 10. She could work wonders if she's cherry-picking a Pierce team or a team that doesn't have any accuracy, but outside of that, there's really not that many scenarios where she will shine. Same for guild battles, but it's a lot harder to cherry pick unless you've had somebody scout the team or you had some really good precise information about the enemy's formations beforehand. And so I'll give her a 5 out of 10. Then manual PvP, a 6, because she can have really good movement, so she could cross the map, but she just doesn't have the damage to assassinate or disable anybody. So it's not like she reaches the enemy team and stops someone like Ketone, or berserks someone. She reaches the enemy team and pokes them once, and then unless she has an extra turn, she does not kill anyone. And so for this reason, not such a high score either. And then Odo PvP, well, it's Odo, so she is quite likely to not act the way you want her to, and then you don't pick your opponents either, so you don't know how accurate they will be and whether your evasion will be even useful. So because of that, not such a high grade either. With all that said, hopefully you found it interesting and it helped you in your decision making. I myself am considering pulling for her because I love the design. I think she looks really nice, I want to play a fencer, and I want to find ways to make her work. So I'm on the fence here. I don't have that much viz, but it would be fun to have her. Do I think she will change my account? Not that much. I also don't have Zazan, which means my Earth Evasion team is not that strong. In my case, she would be an upgrade over, no unit because I haven't EX Ketone either. So with all that said, thank you for watching guys, and I will see you next time.